Welcome to another episode of It's Sew Briella. I'm Briella, and today we're going to talk all about my new coat, the canvas coat. This is a new pattern that I just created the other night in my home Stardust after my daughter went to bed, and I'm so excited about it. It's kind of modeled after my quilted coat pattern, but unlike my quilted coat that is much rounder on the edges and it has rounded features, this coat has very sharp edges and is very box-like in shape. So let's talk all about how I made this coat, starting from drafting the pattern to cutting it out of my fabric to then sewing it together. For this coat, I used two thrifted fabrics. First one is a cotton canvas that I thrifted a while ago. It had some paint splatters on it. It's really light. It feels very earthy, very natural, and I love the color and the neutrality of it. I paired it with this thrifted green blanket that is so soft, and I love how the colors matched up together. So first, I ironed my fabric that I'm using to draft my patterns in. I have to do a whole nother video about using fabric to draft patterns because it has significantly changed my sewing game for the better. But I have been ironing now too, so I ironed my fabric first and then I laid my quilted coat pattern on top of that material. I marked some key elements of the quilted coat that I wanted to keep in this new pattern, like the neckline, the shoulder, the sleeve length, the length of the coat, the width of the coat, elements like that. And then I got rid of my quilted coat pattern for the time being and brought out this new map that has inch squares on it and diagonal lines. Lined it up underneath my fabric that I was using for my patterns, and I drew really sharp lines to connect the shoulder to the wrist to the armpit, and the armpit down to the bottom of the coat. Then I went further. I had a vision of creating like a puzzle piece pattern in the front panels, and then those puzzle pieces would double as functional pockets in the front, with the lining of the jacket popping through the pockets for like a splash of color throughout the jacket. So I had a vision in my mind. I don't sketch, so it was all kind of coming together through this pattern drafting process. So I cut those lines on my original pattern that I cut out, and I figured out exactly how I wanted the puzzle piece to come together. Then I had to re-put that puzzle together back onto my pattern drafting fabric to cut out that front panel again, so then I could transfer it and cut out a back piece as well. So during this pattern making process too, I was really detailed in marking my patterns because of the puzzle piece element of the front panels. I wanted to make sure I didn't have to figure that out every time I wanted to make the coat. So I did little triangles to make sure every piece could perfectly line up, and I marked the areas on those pattern pieces that needed a seam allowance when I was cutting those out in my actual fabric. So after I was very detailed in my pattern, it was then time to cut it out of my actual fabric. So first I get my cotton canvas out and I cut each of those puzzle piece patterns out of my canvas cotton, adding those seam allowances when necessary, and then I cut out the full panel pieces out of my inner lining. Also out of my lining, I had to cut out some of those puzzle pieces that would be the pocket lining. So the pocket areas of the jacket are really triple lined with fabric, just because there's the two layers of inner lining and then the canvas cotton on the front, which is the pocket. So after I cut out all of my pieces, I laid them out on the floor to kind of get an idea of how I would start piecing them together. The inner lining is always super easy. All I had to do was sew the shoulder seams on the lining and the armpit seams. This jacket also doesn't have an arm seam. It's just basically one boxy cut, and it's just for style element. So the inner lining was very easy to sew together. The front panels was the challenging part. First, I hemmed each canvas cotton pocket, so then I could serge it to the pocket lining in the green material. I did that for both pockets on the front right and the front left side, and then I sewed the other two pieces on the shoulder and the neck seam. I ironed all the seams open, and I had serged the edges previously, so the inside of the jacket is super clean, super finished. Everything is so beautifully intact. Then I took the top green lining of the pocket sections of the front panels and I sewed those to the bottom of the top pieces. And then I sewed those seams down on the inside as well. So the pockets are super sturdy with the green lining, and I sewed tacks on the edges so the pockets aren't the entire length of the jacket because I felt like they weren't functional at that point. After the front panels were done, then I just lined up the neck and the front left and right seams front sides facing together with the inner lining and the outer lining of the coat. I sandwiched in between those two layers my collar and my front closure pieces of the jacket. I clipped all those together and took them to my sewing machine, doing a straight stitch all along the edges of the jacket. So the front right side, the collar, the neck, the shoulders, and the front left side. After those are all sewed together, you just flip it inside out and you put the lining arms inside the outer lining of the jacket. Then all you have to do is line the sleeves and hem the bottom. To line the sleeves, I used the green lining, and I did just my own bias tape, and I just sewed those around the sleeves. The sleeves are cuffable. The whole jacket is actually entirely reversible. There are no visible seams showing anywhere. The bottom hem, I just folded both fabrics in towards each other and sewed the bottom shut. So the hem is really simple, really beautiful. And overall, I'm in love with how this jacket turned out. It is so soft, again, completely reversible. I love the pockets. They're at such a good length. The coziness of the jacket, the roominess of the jacket, the style of the jacket. I love the shape when you open up your arms and you could see just those sharp edges in the pattern. I love how the green pops through the pocket lining and how the sleeves have the green touch as well. And you can also fold the collar down if you want it more of like a suit jacket, sport coat type of look. So overall, obsessed with this coat. I personally want to keep it, but this one will be up for sale somewhere very soon, so stay tuned. So thank you so much for coming along on my journey of making this unique and original design. I'm going to start making more as I thrift a lot of curtains and kind of canvasy denim material, and I feel like this pattern is perfect for those things. I also have a lot of leftover quilt material and blanket material that I can start piecing together patchwork coats in this style. So thank you so much for following along with me. If you enjoyed this video or found it inspiring at all or found it interesting or unique or silly, whatever you felt about it, I hope you subscribe to my channel and keep following along in my videos to come. Oh, as always, I invite you to connect in the comments. I love to respond to your comments, and I love to hear what you're up to and how my video influenced your day or fit into your day. So have a beautiful day wherever you are, and see you next time.